and Bob Rant, all the way from southeast Melbourne. There it is. Beautiful day here in Melbourne. I'll give you a look in a minute. I just want to double check all my settings, make sure they're right before we get started. It's not doing anything I'm saying. Come on. My internet here can be quite slow sometimes, so apologies for that in advance. It is just one of those nice autumn days in Melbourne. A few clouds in the sky, sun's out, not too hot, not too cold, and here we go, I'm on. Excuse me. Here we go, let's see if I've... Yep, we're all good. So let's get on with it. And first up, got to introduce my co-host. There he is. He's always with me, JJ. Hey, he's a happy boy. He's always happy. You should see him first thing in the morning. He's a very happy boy. Favorite part of the day is when I get up, because he knows, one, it's his brekkie time, and two, it's my brekkie time. So I don't know which breakfast he likes more, whether it's he's dog bowl or my. Actually, I probably do know which one he likes more. It's my breakfast bowl. So yeah, I know for those out there who hate it, he does get to look out my bowl. He loves it, and he's on his couch. So now he rests there peacefully. But if you're a dog owner, look, there's different types of dog owners, and there's obviously those who hate dogs. I've got a few neighbours that hate dogs, but I'm full in on it. He sleeps on my bed. He sits on my couch. He shares meals with me. I know there's others who'll have a dog but leave it outside, which I think is really cruel. Because dogs inherently, their tribe is the family. They want to be inside with the family. And why would you leave your dog outside in the wet and the cold and the mud and the dirt and all the hot sun and whatever? Let them come be in part of your family. If you're going to have a dog is a family member, and it's the most protective family member you'll ever have. So I don't understand people who own dogs and then don't let them be part of the family, which is inherently in their nature. So he's certainly part of my family. So if you're ever going to get a dog, they're part of your family. You can have your things where you keep them off the couch, keep them off the bed. That's fine. Don't keep them outside. Let them come inside with your family. And, yeah, you might have to vacuum up the place a little bit more than you would like. That's part of dog ownership. So, anyway, quick spiel on dogs. Before we get started, let's give you a look. Whoops, what am I doing here? I've got to do it a different way. Sorry. Let's give you a look at the weather outside at Port Phillip Bay. And there you have it. Like I said, beautiful day. You can tell Port Phillip's nice and calm, so that thing, there's no breeze out there. Well, there's a little bit of breeze, but it's nothing like what it can be on the near the beach. Sometimes those trees are just bending at right angles. So there we go, I lost all my cords again. So that's our weather in Melbourne today. So we are in a funny place in Melbourne, which I'll get to in a minute in my rant. So obviously we're in the get on with the Bible read first, and the Bible read's probably more important this week than any other week, considering we're in the holiest of weeks. Tomorrow's Good Friday, where we remember, don't know whether you say celebrate, but recognise maybe the sacrifice of Jesus. So if you're a Christian, these are important dates. If you're not, you should maybe look at it to investigate the Christian faith a little bit more. So I've got two to catch up on, didn't get on yesterday. So April 1st, the walk to Emmaus, the two unnamed travelers failed to recognize Jesus. Jesus pointed to himself from teaching in the Old Testament, Luke 24:13 through 27. So this one's a little ahead. So this is after Jesus has resurrected himself. On that same day, two of Jesus' followers were going to a village named Emmaus. Hope I got that right. About 11 kilometers from Jerusalem. And they were talking to each other about all the things that had happened. As they talked and discussed, Jesus himself drew near and walked along with them. They saw him, but somehow did not recognize him. Jesus said to them, "What are you talking about to each other as you walk along?" They stood still with sad faces. One of them, named Cleopas, asked him, "Are you the only visitor in Jerusalem who doesn't know how the things that have been happening there these last few days?" "What things?" he asked. The things that happened to Jesus of Nazareth, they answered. This man was a prophet and was considered by God and by all people to be powerful in everything he said and did. Our chief priests and rulers handed him over to be sentenced to death, and he was crucified. And we had hoped that he would be the one who was going to set Israel free. Besides all that, this is now the third day since it happened. Some of the women of our group surprised us. They went at dawn to the tomb, but could not find his body. They came back saying they had seen a vision of angels who told them that he is alive. Some of our group went to the tomb and found it exactly as the women said, but they did not see him. Then Jesus said to them, "How foolish you are, how slow you are to believe everything the prophets say. Was it not necessary for the Messiah to suffer these things and then to enter his glory?" And Jesus explained to them what was said about himself in the scriptures, beginning with the books of Moses and the writings of all the prophets. How amazing that would have been to be part of that. Anyway, April 2nd, Jesus is recognized. Luke 24:28 through to 35. When Jesus broke the bread, his two followers realized who he was. They could not wait to tell the other disciples about what had happened. As they came near the village to which they were going, Jesus acted as if he was going farther. But they held him back, saying, "Stay with us. The day is almost over and it is getting dark." So he went in to stay with them. He sat down to eat with them, took the bread and said the blessing. Then he broke the bread and gave it to them. Then their eyes were opened and they recognized him, but he disappeared from their sight. They said to each other, "Wasn't it like a fire burning in us when he talked to us on the road and he explained the scripture to us?" They got up at once and went back to Jerusalem, where they found the 11 disciples gathered together with the others and saying, "The Lord is risen indeed. He has appeared to Simon." The two then explained to them what had happened on the road and how they recognized the Lord when he broke the bread. So when we talk today about conspiracy theories and all that sort of thing, there's there's one way to certainly break a conspiracy theory, and that's to provide the evidence by, after being killed, resurrecting yourself and showing yourself to your former disciples, I suppose. That would have convinced them. Though doubting Thomas didn't get convinced. So even in the most amazing of miracles, some weren't convinced and some still aren't convinced. So happily I can say I am, though I fail myself all the time. So in that conviction. And I did this last weekend. I didn't go to church, should have gone to church. As I've said a few times, I'm a poor Christian. I do those Bible reads to honor Charlie Kirk and his sacrifice, but also to honor Jesus Christ and his sacrifice. So people can take it whatever way they like to. They don't have to believe it. They don't have to listen to it if they don't want. But it's just something I do. So it's my little way of spreading the word, I suppose. Not the way it started, but it gives me actually, I think people should at least explore it. They should try and probably explore most faiths until they come upon the one that really resonates with them. For me, that was my Catholic upbringing and my Christian upbringing, and it resonated with me. So we all have different journeys in this life. And yeah, you got to find out what resonates with you. And I don't think you can go far past the Christian message. Now, you can let that message get diluted because of the sins, like myself, as Christians make. But the Christian message, the message of Christ and the Gospels, I think is pretty eternal. Speaking of which, leads me into a segue. You probably don't know about this, but there's a guy, Jay Ivey, I think his name is, of Chicago Bulls, plays in the NBA in America, and he's full-on Christian. He's an evangelist Christian, doesn't like the Catholic Church, all that sort of thing. That's fair enough. Everyone, like I said, everyone's got to find something that resonates with them. He had some issues in his life. He got abused when he was sexually abused when he was a kid. He couldn't hold his relationship with his wife. He resorted to drugs and alcohol. And in his own testimony, he found Jesus. And he dedicated his life to Christ after that as an evangelist. So when he got into the rooms, he's full-on preaching, which is what evangelists do. And that can wear you down. I'm not arguing with that at all. But then he got on social media and he said he disagrees with their Pride Week or Pride Month or whatever they have over there. And he says, we're recognising sin. Now, if you're a Christian, you've actually got to support him on that, because that's what it says in the Gospels. It says it. It's in black and white. There's no if, buts, maybe. It doesn't mean you have to hate people from the LGBT community, but it does have to recognise that they live in sin. I live in sin. Now, this is one of my big bugbears, the way politicians and ideologies are using sport. I actually agree with what this guy said. Do I agree that you should be an evangelist in the change rooms and force your faith on others? No, I don't agree with that. But at the same time, as much as I agree that I shouldn't be forcing my Christian faith, and, I say my gospel reads here each day, but I don't force it upon everyone. People can listen or not listen or whatever. I don't walk down the streets with the Bible in my hand, holding it above my head. If people want to talk to me, they can. I don't go in, I'm a basketball coach. I don't go into my training sessions and say everyone has to accept Christ or they're going to hell. I just have subtle conversations, and some of the most fascinating conversations are when people find out that I'm a Christian and specifically a Catholic, and then they want to ask me questions about it because they're curious. And then we get into the thing. I've got one of the dads in my team is a Protestant pastor from Sudan. So he's a great guy. And he's starting to question Protestantism, and he's investigating Catholicism. We had an amazing conversation the other day. And another dad overheard us, so he came in, and he's not a Christian at all. He just wanted to listen. He's from, I think, Vietnam, and he came across, I think he's a Buddhist. I could be wrong. I'm not too sure. Like I say, I don't press these people. I just coach their kids in basketball. So anyway, we had a fascinating conversation, and you should be allowed to have those conversations. This is what free speech and opinion and assembly and all that is all about. But these days, like this Jay Ivey guy in Chicago, he just got waived, which means sacked in America. And all because he came out and spoke out against the LGBTQI Pride round or whatever it is. I don't like the Pride round here in the AFL. I don't like it in cricket. I don't like it anywhere. Why are we making one section of our community more important than another? That's not to say I hate members of the LGBTQI community. I don't agree with the way they live. I do believe it's sinful. I hope they actually see the difference in their way. But I live in sin too. We all do. I go and ask for forgiveness. I recognise my sin. I'm not too sure the people in the LGBTQI do. A lot do. And I've had some really good people in my life that are gay. They're good people. They're decent people. But according to our Christian faith, they live in sin. That's just the Gospels. You can't change the Christian message now after it's been written 1,500 years ago. That's a part of our conservatism, right? And you shouldn't be getting ostracized because you say, I believe in the Gospels and Christ and all that, and then get sacked from your job for it. That's discrimination. Now, I got no doubt whatsoever, if this guy was a Muslim, nothing would have been done. Muslims are against the gay community, far more than Christians are. Christians at least will reach out with tolerance and love and compassion and say, listen, you're living in sin. We'll pray for you. We hope you change your way. And that's it. Now, it used to be worse probably years ago, but nowadays that's it. If you're a gay in an Islamic state, you're getting killed. It's as simple as that. You're getting thrown off a rooftop, you're getting beheaded, hung, whatever it is. They just will not cop it. So you can't be openly gay in an Islamic state. You can be openly gay in Australia. And that is the way it should be. And even if you're an adult and you choose to be transgender, so you're changing your sex, whether from male to female, female to male, well, I don't understand it. I think it's wrong. I do think it's sinful. But you're an adult, and if you want to do that, you don't have to have my permission to do it. That's your right in Australia to do it. That's freedom of choice, freedom of opinion, freedom of speech. We can argue black and blue until we're black and blue in the face. But recognise people have freedom of choices, freedom of movement, freedom of opinion, freedom of speech. At least that's the way it should be, unless you're a Christian. If you're a Christian who practice that, then you get ostracised, like this guy over in Chicago. So he's been kicked off the team. Now no other team will pick him up simply because he expressed a stronger view of Christianity, but a correct view than most Christians are prepared to make. And it's kind of sad that Christians won't come out and support him. A lot of them will go into the holes because they don't want to lose their job. Now, think what that would mean up above. If you're a Christian, you believe Christ is watching our every movement, our every thought, our every act. Think about what Christ is thinking, where you're hiding behind woke ideology and not expressing what you believe in just so you can keep your job. Christ is a man that willingly, and we're celebrating this tomorrow, recognizing it tomorrow, that willingly walked himself to the most horrific death to forgive our sins, and yet you're not prepared to stand by his teachings. What does that make you? A hypocrite? A coward? I don't want to judge anyone because I'm guilty of as many faults as the next human being. But we've all got to reflect on ourselves and whether we're truly Christian. And, I was listening to Albo at the press conference today in the background. The guy turns me off so much, but I'm doing my work, typing away on the keyboard, and he's on the background at the press club. And I just kept hearing little blurbs he kept coming out when I wasn't focusing on my work. And no doubt a few of these will be means, but he keeps going back to progressive patriotism. What does he mean by progressive patriotism? I'll tell you what he means. He wants our country to change to his viewpoint. He wants us to accept all these woke bullshit things. He wants us to move away from Christianity to his Marxist wokeism, where we fully embrace transgenderism, where the government will tell you how to raise your kids, where your government tell you what you can listen to, what you can think, who you can assemble with. They won't allow open and free debate. It's their way or the highway. That's the modern Australia that he keeps talking about. He's saying we can't go back. Well, hell yes, we can. It always goes in cycles anyway. Now, what is going back? Can we go back to a white Australia? One, I don't think we can. I think we're too far down the track. And two, do we really want to? Yeah. Christ created, if you're a Christian, and I find it interesting that a lot of the white nationalists proclaim themselves as Christian. Because if you're a Christian, one of the things we're taught as Christians is that we all are made in the image of God, no matter who we are. So whether you're Asian, white, black, whatever, we're all God's children. So would we really want to do it? I don't think so. But what we need to do, this is only my opinion, what we need to be able to do is get everybody back to what we used to believe in, whether they're white, Asian, whatever, in the 80s, 90s, 70s, even the 60s. Australia was such a magnificent place where we would accept just about everyone and give everyone a go. Everyone deserved to go. Now, we also have the tall poppy syndrome, which is another thing. But overall, we would be prepared to give everyone a go and let them come here and build a life for themselves. As long as you came here and respected our country, its cultures, its heritage, and its values. Now we demand, so we've gone from that to where we now demand we allow people in who want to change our culture, wipe out our heritage, change our values, and change the way we live. They openly say it. We have got imams who are saying they want to get Islam into every household in this country. 90% of the country don't want that. So, this is where it's all going wrong. And if progressive patriotism means that's the way we've got to go, bullshit. No way. Not going to go down that at all. But don't underestimate how they're going to embed themselves and implant themselves in everything we do. And this is not a white issue. This is not an Indian issue. This is not a thing. This is a cultural issue. It's a battle of civilizations. And we've got to preserve our Western civilization and our Western heritage for this country to be successful for whoever lives here. And whoever comes here has got to accept that culture and heritage. Now, if that means I'm going back to the 50s and 60s, hallelujah. So, and the funny thing, I deal with people from overseas, whether they're first, second, third generations of immigrants. So I keep saying, you know, I've got a fascinating team that I'm coaching in under 14s at the moment. And I've said this a couple of times, but I want to break it down again because it's changed again. So I've got 2 Aussie kids, great kids, beautiful boys. I've got I had 2 Indonesians. I've got 1 Indonesian boy now. Beautiful kid, beautiful family. 1 Vietnamese kid, beautiful family. I've got 2 Chinese kids, beautiful family. I've got a Sudanese boy now starting up with this. Beautiful kid. He's the son of the pastor. And they all come together. They all understand the rules. I set the rules and the parameters. The parents understand it. And this is just to be successful as a basketball team. I've never coached a team that's been so close and united. Not because of where they're from, but because they're willing to accept a culture, the values, the rules, and come together. And they're all working together to be successful as a basketball team. That's what we need in the country. That's what we need in Australia, where people are coming together with a common desire for a certain way of life, a certain culture, a certain heritage, and then moving that country forward. When we get that, this country will be successful again. This country will be the great place it used to be. It won't look the same. It'll be different. But the basic things that unite us, the culture, the heritage, the values, it's what will make this country great. And I'm hoping Pauline Hanson and One Nation are the vehicle we can use to get the country back on track towards that. Because this progressive patriotism that Albo talks about, it's just bullshit. It's just absolute bullshit. And they're very good, the left, at coming up with these names like climate change, progressive patriotism. It doesn't sound nasty, but in 10 years, we're going to find out how nasty it is. Progressive patriotism is code for turning this country into something it wasn't. It's to turn this country and take it away from its heritage and replace it with something else. That's what progressive patriotism is all about. And the media won't tell you that. The media, in fact, half of them, they're on board with it. So don't take your stuff from the media. And today, Sky News. So we had Trump giving his speech, which I say didn't say much. It was typical Trump. And basically it was Trump saying, well, we've fought the war. We won the war. If you want the Marsh Straits, we don't need the oil. You go get it. Fair enough too. Oh, if I was Trump, I'd be saying the same thing. I'll come back to Trump in a minute. I got a rant on that. And then you got Laura Jays. Get on Sky News today. And what Sky News, Kieran Gilbert and Laura Jays, they're dumb as dog shits. They are so dumb. They couldn't interpret geopolitics if it landed on their nose. And yet they come out and they give their opinion, and they're just infested with TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome. And Laura Jays couldn't wait to get on there and have a crack. If you don't believe that, go watch the Andrew Bolt had Greg Sheridan on his show the other day for an interview. And the TDS in Greg Sheridan is next level. They sent 4 astronauts to the moon today. They could have sent those astronauts on Greg Sheridan's TDS. It's just so insane. It's so full of energy. It's just crazy stuff. So, you know, the media are every bit as complicit in this progressive patriotism, and they're going to use it to try and tear down Hanson. You watch. When we get to the next election, especially federally, they're going to try and steal what Hanson is big on, which is patriotism, nationalism. They're going to push it that way, which now brings me to Trump, my final point. If you're listening to all the gropers, and there's plenty of them out there, Jared Rennick now has convinced me he's a groper, for example. And he will bag Trump and the forever wars, and you'll hear all the same thing, and how Israel convinced Trump to go in there, blah, 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 ignoring the previous history of Trump going back to the 80s, where he said we've got to take the nuclear capability away from Iran. I don't think any sane person would argue with that argument. And if you're making that point, there's only one way to do it, and that's militarily. They're not going to do it peacefully. So Trump has made the decision that no other president would. And thank God he has the military at his disposal to pull it off. Because the cowards in the EU, in England, here in Australia, will not touch it. And there's plenty of those cowards out there. This is not the same war that we're fighting in Iraq. Now, the interesting thing is Trump, when they say Trump plays 5D chess, or 4D chess, now a lot of them saying 5D chess, they're not kidding. All right, they say Trump is not a nationalist because he's fighting these wars. Really? Okay, we now have the European Union. Trump has now gone in there He's fought this war as America, with Israel, obviously. He's got no support from the EU. He's got no support from NATO. He's got no support from Australia. And now Trump's going, well, we're going to pull out of NATO. He's not saying when thinking about it. He said it. We're now going to pull out of NATO. We'll bring our troops back. We'll bring them into our sphere of influence. Why do we fight for NATO why did NATO expect us to fight for them when they won't come and fight with us? It's a valid point. If you sign an agreement, and that's what NATO is you support each other. So he's now actually going to make all the European countries start thinking about now they've got to actually put some money into their own defense, because it used to be, oh, well, we'll get the Yanks. They're no longer going to get the Yanks. So now Trump, in the geopolitical scheme, is making all the European nations think more nationalistically. So they're becoming more nationalist themselves in Europe. America is going to pull back from having their bases in Europe. Just listen to what Trump says. America is going to become more America first. So everyone is saying they're America first, and Trump's against it. And you listen to the Candace Owens, the Tucker Carlsons and all that. He's 5 levels above them. He's actually going to force Australia to become a more Australian first. Because let's be honest, Australia has been riding the coattails of America, especially in defence, because we couldn't defend ourselves without the Yanks. We've got to get politicians in there that personally, I think we need to rebuild the alliance, because we've got decades ahead of us before we can become military self-sufficient, where we can defend ourselves. Decades. That would include a nuclear arsenal. We would need a nuclear arsenal in Australia to be able to defend ourselves. We just do not have the population to be building up a strong enough military, though Israel makes a lot of that, but we're not Israel. I mean, Israel, they're totally united. We're not totally united. So we're decades away from having a military that could stave off an invasion. And the other difference between Israel and Australia is we've got a whole huge continent. They've got a small land. It actually makes it easier to defend, because you can concentrate your forces in smaller areas, if you get what I mean. In Australia, that's nearly impossible. Australia would need the population of America to be able to defend itself. We're nowhere near that. America's got, 350 million? We've got 27 million at best. So we need the Yanks. But we need to actually also to start developing our military so it can grow, train people. And you've got to get people who want to fight for your country, by the way, but that could actually fend off an invasion. So that's more Australia first. So across the globe, Trump is actually changing the geopolitical nature where countries go back to worrying about their own shit. Now, in Trump's view, he's now defanged Iran. They're not going to be able to fire missiles at America. He's made America safe for 25, 50 years, whatever it's going to be. Hopefully, if there's a toppling of the regime and there's a sensible government thing, he secures their security as much as he can permanently from the nuts in Iran. So he's actually achieving America first. He's not only achieving America first, the UK will kick out Starmer. There's no doubt about that. If you don't believe me, just get the clip on X where he's being hounded by his own citizens. It's amazing. So the UK will eventually, I'd say in the next 2 years somewhere, push back on Starmer and their ideology and become UK first. Germany is always already heading to Germany first. France have got to get rid of Macron. But countries are going to start taking what's in their best interest now if Trump pulls out of NATO. So we've got nationalism rising right across the globe. How can you say Trump's not a nationalist? He's had to fight the wars he's got to fight. He's even got China and Russia now going, God, this guy's a nut. He'll do whatever he wants. And Xi will be going, he's going to a meeting with Xi in, I think it's this month in April. Xi won't know which way to turn with Trump. And he will be second guessing, for example, whether he should take on Taiwan, because would Trump then help them? I'm not too sure he would, especially after this. So, yeah, we got some interesting times ahead of us. But pretty big picture rant today. I'm sorry. Most big picture thing. Good Friday tomorrow. The service here is on 3 o'clock, so I don't know whether I'll be on tomorrow. If I'm not, whether you're a Christian or not, God bless you. God bless your kids. God bless your grandkids. God bless, oh my God, your pets. Come here, JJ. No, he's not coming off his couch. He loves his couch. Smart dog. God bless that flag. God bless this country. And let's hopefully we can get it back. If you are a Christian, be a good one tomorrow. Get to church. Honor Christ, the sacrifice. Even if you're not a Christian, Why not go to church anyway and find out what it's all about? Start investigating it. That's what I did when I was 27. So is what I would encourage you to do. Get along to a church and find out why Christians honor Christ and his sacrifice. Man, you might find something. Who knows? Either that or find another Christian and start a conversation. What have you got to lose? Absolutely nothing. Anyway, see you, everyone. God bless you. And I might see you tomorrow, or I'll see you the following day. Bye for now.